Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday's Daily Devotion. I'm Linda Black from South Canyon Lutheran Church, and it's really good to be with you this morning. I'm going to read a pretty familiar uh, story, or retell the story, and read a passage from Jonah, probably one of the most well-known stories in the Bible. We learned it as children, because who doesn't love a story about a whale swallowing a man? It doesn't take very long to read the whole book of Jonah, probably 10 minutes, but I'm going to just kind of retell the whole thing just in case you've forgotten some of it. Now, Jonah, I like to say, is probably a lot like most of us on our worst days. He is self-centered, he's immature, and he's very honest with God. And I think if we think about ourselves in times like this, we're probably a lot like Jonah too throughout this story. It starts out with God calling Jonah to go to Nineveh because the people in Nineveh were living wicked ways, is how it's described in the Bible. And Jonah did not want to go because he knew that God was compassionate and would not punish them. So he went the opposite direction. He took a boat to Tarshish. And God did not like that he disobeyed him, so he sent this storm. And the sailors knew that it was Jonah who caused the storm because he had disobeyed God. So they threw him overboard. And Jonah was swallowed by a whale. And while he was in the belly of that whale, he prayed. He prayed really meaningful prayer to God to save him from death. And the whale spit Jonah out. And Jonah ended up on the shore. And a second time, God told Jonah to go to Nineveh. So even though he did not want to go, he did go. And Jonah spent 40 days telling the people, everyone, the king, all the way down to the meager citizens of Nineveh, that they needed to change their ways or God was going to punish them. And you know what happened? The people did. They changed their ways. And out of God's compassion, his grace, his mercy, he did not punish them. He was happy that they changed their ways. And Jonah being Jonah, was mad about this. And he said, God, this is why I did not want to go in the first place, because I knew this is what you would do. You would not punish them for living the way that they were living. And he pouted and he went out and sat in the sun. And God sent a bush to grow up out of the ground and to shade Jonah. And Jonah was happy with God because of that. But then a worm came along who ate the bush and killed it. And Jonah was mad once again about that. And God said, you're mad about a worm eating a bush? Yet you don't understand why I saved all of those people and those animals in Nineveh? Jonah, you just do not understand. So that brings us to the verses that I want to read today. It's from Jonah 4, and it's verses 1 through 3. But this was very displeasing to Jonah, and he became angry. This was after he had told the Ninevites what was happening. He prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord, is not this what I said while I was still in my own country? This is why I fled to Tarshish at the beginning, for I knew that you are a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, and ready to relent from punishing. And now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. This was Jonah's response to God after the Ninevites changed their ways and God did not punish them. And Jonah was pouting and he was angry with God. And he said, "Oh Lord, please take my life. It is because it is better for me to die than to live." Now we're told over and over and over again that we should love our neighbors and take care of everyone and even our enemies. Now that's not always easy to do. Praying for our enemies, even those that may be neighbors. And that's what Jonah was asked to do. And think about Jonah's reaction here. How many times do we feel that same way? That it's just not fair. I live my life that I do caring for people, doing what God asks of me, and yet other people don't. And yet God loves them too. How fair is that? And I think Jonah, the book of Jonah here tells us something that's so important in our life that we need to understand, because God teaches us that he is a God of compassion, of mercy, of grace, and that his love is for everyone, no matter what. And to that I say, thanks be to God. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.